Welcome, everybody. Um, Thank you so much for coming tonight. And this is we've been talking about with our travel group. We've been meeting every week or two for a few months now, getting ready for the trip. And this is kind of like our coming out party tonight. So we're glad that you're here. Um, and then we're now about what is it, 6 weeks out from the trip, something like that. It's coming right up. So we're ready to tell you some things about it and invite your support and participation um, and just tell you share a few things that we're excited about for the trip. So we've got a short presentation. A few different folks from the travel group are going to say a few things, and then we want to have some time for Q&A at the end. So you all know me, so I don't need to introduce myself. I'm going to invite my family up here who is coming on the trip, and they're going to say a couple of words about where we're going and what we're doing just to kick things off. So Pierre, you were going to share a couple things that you're excited about for the trip, right?
I know. I know. So, wait, what am I saying again?
A couple of things that you're excited about.
Okay. So, I'm excited about meeting the people from last time I went there, like Philip, and and I'm also excited to meet some of the kids again, probably older now, and yeah.
I'm excited to see my friends.
Like who? No, we don't. All right, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, I think it's about, for us, it's a lot about family connections, relationships. I served as a seminary pastor at Luther Seminary, where I met Philip Nushan, Stephen's dad, and then built a friendship with him along with Arthur. And so, and there's just a number of students from Liberia who have been at the seminary. So feels like kind of a family reunion trip. Seeing our friend Irene Ammon's father, Cephas, who will be our host in Ghana. In Liberia, besides Philip, there are a number of other Luther Seminary grads who are serving the church in Liberia. So we're hoping as best to connect with them and to connect with the work in CCLL.
And is Bridget here yet? Our next speaker is Bridget, and she's running a little late because she's coming from getting all her shots today, I think. So instead of Bridget, Stephen's going to step up and say a few words about how he feels about people going to his country.
Hi, my name is Steven Nushin, Philip Nushin's kid. I'm actually very excited that you guys all get to go to Liberia. I remember last time I was there was like 10 years ago, and it was such a fun time, especially for a kid, because after school you just get to play. It's fun. You just hang out, play. I like the community there. There's like a really deep sense of community because everybody just look out for each other. I remember like after school was over, I would just come home, drop my bag off, and just go wherever I wanted to. And my parents didn't get worried because they know that like everybody was taking care of us, and like I was gonna be looked at no matter where I go because there's like it's like one big family. So I'm really glad that you guys able to that you guys are gonna experience that. I wish I could go with you guys, but I can't because school and other stuff. But yeah, and I'm super excited. You guys are gonna meet my dad. Who, for those of you who haven't met my dad, see my family, see the place I grew up, try the food. Oh my gosh, food is so good. Yeah, it's a little spicy, so if you don't like spice, good luck. But it's a lot of fun. The people there are amazing. The kids there are amazing. The food is good, and it's so beautiful. I think you guys will be going during the rainy season, so it's gonna be pretty wet, but it's so beautiful. The beaches are amazing. The lakes, the forests, the drives are beautiful, and yeah, I wish I could go, but take a lot of pictures. I'll love to see all the pictures you guys take. All the amazing things you guys do. So yeah, and say hi to my dad for me. Yeah. Pierre's gonna come back up to say more things. Yeah.
We were just flipping through a few pictures there from Ghana. Our hosts in Ghana, and this is one of the sites that we will likely visit when we are in Ghana. We'll spend about 3 days in Ghana and then 5 days in Liberia. And right now, I want to just do we have that video queued up that introduces Center for Changing Lives? All right, why don't we go to that, and then Elijah's going to share a little bit about the program that we're going to visit, the main purpose for our trip.
My name is Dada Yoba from William B. Stockman Gray High School. I want to be thankful to CCL for allowing me to be part of this scholarship because I lost my father from HIV and I have no one to support me. So I want to be grateful to the Almighty God for strengthening them to help me. The Almighty God be with me.
Hello? You can hear me? All right. I think this is my second time here at Lacomo Lutheran Church. I was here once to worship with Arthur. Um, but but I'm glad to be back here tonight with all of you who have come to listen to us tell you story about Liberia and what we've been doing in Liberia. And this group going to be going to Liberia. Actually, this will be the second group that I will be accompanying to Liberia. In 2019, 2020, we had a first trip to Liberia, and that was a larger group. We took about 16 people on that trip. And one thing I would say to you is that when you make the trip to Liberia and you come back, you become an ambassador for CCLL. So just to say a little bit about CCLL, so Philip Nushin, a brother of mine from Liberia, we work together in the Lutheran Church in Liberia, from the youth department up to administration. He went to become a pastor, and then here I am. So he came to the U.S. before me, and then when I came here in 2014, I went to Luther Seminary to find him, and eventually he shared his story, the vision to establish CCLL in Liberia, and I embraced the idea, and I'm like, that's the dream. Like Philip, like me, we all went through the 14 years of civil crisis in Liberia. And the kids you're seeing, most of them lost their parents to either the war or HIV and AIDS or Ebola or coronavirus. So they are children who one way or the other don't have either both parents or have just one parent, or they're living with somebody they don't know or some relatives. So talking about struggle in Africa or in Liberia specifically, a country that been through the hurdles and tussles of so many things, CCLL now serve as a beacon of hope for some of these kids. So in 2016, when Philip Levy went back to Liberia and then established CCLL, some of these kids, he started recruiting. And now I can tell you, you saw the numbers every year, kind of adding up the number from 20 to 40 to 60. There's just no limit to the numbers because the needs, I don't know, it's monumental. You cannot overemphasize the number of kids in Liberia that needs help to go to school because the families don't have it. And if you have an organization like this that's doing this, man, you like when they went to do the recruiting process first, the line was so long, they have to turn some kids away because CCLL didn't have the resources, to take in all of the kids. And up to today, we don't have the resources to absorb the amount of kids, we want to provide support for in Liberia. So as you're going to be making this trip to Liberia, you're going to have different perspective of Liberia. And some of the things you'll see on the internet, some of the things you hear in the news, and then when you get to Liberia, you have a whole different worldview. And much as Liberia has been through so much hustle and tussle, a little country with so much rich history, but the people are very resilient. They are very hopeful. And you're gonna see people who are happy. In much as they are suffering, some of them go to bed without food, some of them living below $1 a day, but you're gonna see happy people. So as you are deciding to go to Liberia, go with an open mind. Don't have anything on your mind. Just go to Liberia that you're going to meet human beings. And one of the things that would shock you would be the welcoming. When you get to Liberia, you saw Dede kind of playing the salsa, we call it, and then the drums. So you're gonna see some really cool stuff, but you know, in all, CCLL in Liberia has been a beacon of hope. So like you see Dede and Newton over there in the video, you saw that she was there in high school. So now Dede and Newton, the two standing beside Ita, they are our two college students that we have right now. And so we accompany them from high school, now they are in college. So that's how far we are going with this journey. Because the thing is that when we started, when the program is going on and we're like, okay, the kids out of high school, what do we do then? Okay, what's the next step for them? And then that's how the college program came about, and we are hoping that we will continue this process. But again, we want to say that CCLL for you is a hope for a lot of Liberians' children, and we want to say thank you for helping to support us, and thank you to those who are making that sacrifice to go across the Atlantic Ocean to visit these kids. And I want to emphasize one thing before I close. Maybe somebody will say like, oh yeah, look at the picture, the kids are suffering, why you can just send the money. It's not only about the money, it's also about that moral and physical support and saying that I see you and I've come to see you and I'm here to support you. And you can build connection with people that you don't know. And those connections goes a long way. And some of those people who traveled the last time, they could be able to tell you what the experience was. Thank you.
Where can I stand? I don't think there's anywhere. Okay. I see a lot of faces that I don't know, so I'll start with an introduction. My name is Nikki Taylor, and I serve on the board of PACT, the Partnership for Community Transformation. And I am here to tell you a little bit about what PACT is and why it is so important to me. I've had the opportunity to serve as a board member on PACT since, I think I've lost count, I think it's since about 2018. And I had the opportunity to meet Philip. Elijah was my main contact into Center for Changing Lives Liberia. And that's kind of what opened the door for me to kind of have the opportunity to join. You're wondering what is PACT and how is that related to the Center for Changing Lives Liberia? PACT is the Partnership for Community Transformation, and we're a charitable organization that provides awareness, outreach, and fundraising to support the nonprofits that are kind of under the umbrella of PACT. And at this time we have two. One of them obviously is the Center for Changing Lives Liberia, which Elijah has done such a great job of introducing to you. We have another one as well, but I'll just give you a little bit kind of more context on what we do. We really, to use some of the language that Elijah used, we are about creating ambassadors. We are here in the United States, and our purpose is really to kind of share, serve as allies, and really just lift the voices of those nonprofits that we support. And we're a working board. We have 9 members on our board, 8 of which are in Minnesota, 1 who lives in Chicago, Illinois. And we together man the website, we write the communications, we organize, we do the reporting, we do the fundraising in order to support these nonprofits. Center for Changing Lives Liberia is our focus for tonight, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the second organization that we support. It's called Good Crocodile Foundation. It's located in East Timor, a small island in Southeast Asia, and it supports, it provides health education, it has a maternity clinic, and it supports midwifery care. It provides support to subsistence farmers, and it provides some support to women who are getting into business for themselves through weaving. So there's a lot of really good, and it's all about community building, and I think that's, you know, kind of a common thread that you'll see as well with Center for Changing Lives. Education, healthcare, community support, with a focus on youth. And so these two small organizations kind of came together. We joined, so I'll back up for a second. So Center for Changing Lives, established in 2016, supported by PACT, and we joined in partnership with the Good Crocodile in 2020. And we just really recognized that we had this opportunity as these kind of working boards to leverage the power and the skills of the collective. So we came together as a group in 2020 and now have these two organizations that we support. We have a website, pact.mn.org. I'm sure we'll post that later, but really, I would suggest that any of you who are interested in learning a little bit more about the organizations that we support, go there. It's also a great place to provide donations as well and to really connect other friends and family to the organization. I think that website sometimes can tell a very compelling story. So that ends my part of the presentation about what PACT is. I think I'm going to pass it off to Bridget and give her an opportunity to introduce herself and share a little bit about why this is important.
Thank you. Oh, I see why you were kind of moving around. Those lights are a lot, right? I'm gonna have a visor on here so I can see that there are people out there. Hi, I'm Bridget Matthey, and I became aware first of the organization through Nikki. We've been friends for decades, since we were in kindergarten. But anyway, so that's how I became aware of the organization, and I became very interested because I've been an educator for my whole life, and so it's really in alignment with the values that I have. And what I wanted to speak to this evening is if you're considering making a donation, which of course we would all love for you to consider that, you might think to yourself, like, why not just give money to the Center for Changing Lives rather than, like, why are you people going? Why don't we just take all the money and put it into donating to the organization? And to answer that the best for me in my direct experience is when I was in my 20s, like 5 years ago, I was in the Peace Corps. And I was in the education unit, and every time we would have these meetings with tons of people, there'd be this whole big setup of these tables. And when the meeting started, it would go for a minute, and then somebody new would walk in, and the meeting would stop, and you'd go around and you would, kiss the cheeks of everybody all the way around the table. And then the meeting would go a couple more minutes, and then it would stop when the next person arrived, and you would greet again and again. And as a U.S. American, the culture here, I was sort of like, what is happening? We're never going to get anything done. But the truth was, what was really getting done is trust was being built, and those relationships were being built. And when those relationships were built and strong, everything else could happen so much more quickly, because that was the most important part. And that's very different than we do things here in the U.S. We are very much, here, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 on the agenda. But you can't get to any of those things in some other places without having the relationships developed. And so that's really why we're going, is showing up is super important to the people in Liberia to go, oh, you are here, you do care about us, you are providing us with some hope for the future. So that's why we're also going on this trip, and hoping that you will be interested in supporting the travel of people who are interested in that. Thanks. And now I think I'm passing off to Mark.
Hi, thanks for coming. Mark Patzloff here from LNL. And my first trip to West Africa, I'll be going with this group. And all of you can contribute to this. All of you can pray for us. You can encourage us. You can tell us about your experiences with travel to Africa. I'm going to mention a couple things about donations. We're going to have physical donations that you can bring to the church. We'll have this up commons area where you can drop off things. There's a list here that talks about some of the different products. We're going to print that up in bigger font so old people like me can actually see what they're supposed to be bringing. But high on the list would be shoes, clothing, school supplies. We are looking at electronic equipment, laptops, workable laptops. We're looking at some other sources to purchase laptops, high-functioning laptops, to bring those over as well. We'll be carrying those over. And so those are some of the things that you could think about bringing. We'll have this up for the next few weeks, like I said, out in the Commons. And if you're wondering whether something you have is suitable or whatever, just talk to me or Arthur or someone on the team, and we'll try to give you some guidance on that. Thank you, and hand it on. Oh, no? Okay.
Thank you. My name is William Ah with L&L. I guess I have the meat and potatoes part of this presentation of the financial donations opportunities. So if you're looking to contribute beyond items and stuff like that, you can go financially. On the screens here are 2 QR codes. They're the same ones that are on the board here. The one on the left is for the CCL, so you can contribute right to the programs. The one on the right is a link that'll take you to L&L's contribution page if you want to help support travelers. So if you want to help a particular travel with the cost, you can put their name in the memo, or just for travel in general. And I just want to, this other QR code that's on the board here is the link for PACT. So if you are interested in finding out about that, you can type it in, but that's also right there for you too. I guess I skipped over my part of why I'm going. It happens. So much going on today. I've been wanting to do a trip like this forever, even before any of this ever came up. And when Arthur had sent out the gauge for interest about 1.5 years ago, first Sunday, went right in his face and saying, "Sign me up, let's go." We were planning on going a couple times, and I even rushed to get my passport renewed, which I didn't need to do, but that's okay. But this is kind of piggybacking on Elijah and Nikki and Bridget, excuse me. It's more important to be there than just writing a check. And that's kind of a big deal of showing up, making new connections. Yeah. And then I do have a couple of videos that we'll share with some of the people from Liberia.
Just want to appreciate what the CCL Liberia is doing for our children, especially Arthur and the group from Minnesota. I just want to tell you hello and thank you for everything you are doing. I want you to please double up. We have more children here who are not on a scholarship. We are appealing to you to please incorporate them. Some of them are just roaming around. They are not going to school, and they may end up turning to school. So we are appealing to you. So I just want to tell you thank you and thank you very much.
Before you go to the next one, so that woman's name is Seba Kohli. She's one of the original counselors and staff members at Center for Changing Lives. And we went back, she's no longer on staff there, but when Elijah and I were back this spring, she was there and really wanted to extend thanks out to everybody in Minnesota. The next video, this is a godsend to have Will involved in this, because he's working on putting these captions in to help us. The audio is not always that great on all of these. I just did them on my cell phone, but he's spruced them up so we can actually benefit from them. So the next one is Newton Kirkula, and he is one of our college students.
I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to our friends in Minnesota for their hard effort to earn our school fees. Last year it wasn't easy and our school fee was not paid. Our parents struggled hard to earn a money for us to attend. And also, since the death of my father, before year, it has not been easy on my mother. She has struggled hard making a business just for me to attend. And I hope and pray that you all will help and keep on helping us that we may reach far. And thanks.
So I was wrong. That was not Newton. That was Elijah Camus, and he is he's the son I discovered. I remembered him from the first trip, and he'd gone from here to here, and that video is from this past April. And his father, Matthew Camus, was one of the key staff members, and he mentioned how hard it's been, and he mentioned the death of his father. And his father was kind of the glue that held this program together on the ground. He passed away a couple of years ago working for the program on the back of a motorcycle, which is how people get around. And there was an accident, and he didn't survive. And so, but it was just very moving to meet his son, who's now one of the, or already was, but continues to be one of the beneficiaries of the program. And then the next one will be Newton, who's, along with Day Day, who was featured in the first video, one of our college students.
Our recommendation is for the supporter of Minnesota USA to keep their good work, which we highly appreciate. We are less privileged children. Speaking to you, I'm a single parent child, only have a father, and I'm very glad to be a beneficiary of this program. So on behalf of all of the beneficiaries of CCLL, I'm recommending to our people through appeal for their tireless effort and their unwavering support to our school, Guinea in Liberia. I'm very happy to be one of the beneficiaries. Thank you so much. A big greeting to my mom.
That was for you, Laura. A lot of the kids call me dad, your uncle, your dad, your mom. Anyone who cares for you is your father or your mother. It's very biblical. So I'm going to invite now Deb and Cammie up, and they have a couple things to share as well. And then I think we're going to go right into Q&As, which I think Deb and Cammie are also going to facilitate.
Hi, I think most of you know us, but I'm Cammie Hopkins, and this is Deb Christensen. We're members of the Justice and Mercy team here at LNL, and we are here to support the Travelers as well as PACT, which is one of our partner organizations. And we just wanted to let you know about an opportunity we're working on, and that is we are setting up a pen pal program between the kids at LNL and the kids in Bond County. And so we hope that you'll be on the lookout for more information about that coming soon. And if you have any other ideas about how we could stay connected with the people of Liberia, please talk to me or any of the other people you've seen up here today. We'd love to hear it.
Thank you, Cammie. I guess we will start then with the question and answer session. And actually, I have a question right away. And that is, you're going to 2 different countries. Could you explain what is in each of those countries, as far as what you plan to do, why you're going to both, and how you're going to get from one to another? Because it looks like there's another country in between. So you could explain that.
So we're going to be going to Ghana first. And Ghana is a West African country as well. It's about 1 hour, 45-minute flight from Liberia. So it's not really that far. Bishop Amor over there, he has a church in in Ghana. His daughter Irene was also at Luther Seminary going to school and established friendship with Arthur Philip. So the intention is to explore some long-term establishment of the same program in Liberia. So the group going to be making a stop and have some conversation and exploring opportunities and see what we can do, what they are doing in Ghana. So that's the main reason why we are stopping in Ghana, to have that conversation with Bishop Amor and see if there's a possibility that there can be some partnership established between PART and that of the church in Ghana. So that's the main reason why we're going to be stopping in Ghana. So when we leave Ghana, we're going to just get to the airport, get on the plane, and then fly to Liberia. So that's the break in between.
And some of you may recognize Cephas Ammon, the Reverend Cephas Ammon in the middle there. He's been with us in worship here. He was here last summer with his daughter Irene. I think Irene might have been with us 2 times and 1 time with her dad.
Looks like Pastor Sarah.
Okay, I am curious about like tuition, like for the students at CCLL, like what does it cost for them to go to school? And then some of them are successful there and go on to university, and so like what does university cost?
So mostly it varies. As you go through school, it gets a little more expensive the further you go in school, but it's typically about $150 US for a year of tuition for a kid in grade school. So anywhere from kindergarten through 12th grade, $150 a year. So the kids in the CCLL program, generally speaking, the culture for kids who have lost their support or caregivers is that typically someone in the community will take that child in, but that child may often not have the opportunity to go to school. And this is the original point of intervention that Philip identified when he started this thing. Those kids end up being some of the most vulnerable kids because they're often out there at a very young age working, maybe selling things in the streets, and that makes them very, very vulnerable, as you can imagine. And so the original point of intervention with the program was to send social workers out, work, very grassroots in the community, identify families that had taken in kids, particularly in the wake of the Ebola epidemic, and then meet with those families and secure a commitment from the host family that if we were to provide tuition for this child, would you ensure that they would actually attend school? That was so. It's sort of establishing a bit of a social safety net in a way that's appropriate to the local culture and context. The other question was, I think, around college tuition. Was that? Yeah. So high school, up through high school, maybe 175 US a year, 200 maybe now. Costs have gone up since this started. And then, and as we start to have kids going through to college and into trade school and things that we're looking at now, maybe about $1,000 a year for trade school, maybe about $2,000 a year. The 2 kids, Dede and Newton, that are now at college at Cuttington University, which is one of the best universities in Liberia and happens to be right there in their home community, that's about $2,000 a year for tuition.
So now that we're talking about school, and so there's a situation that the families that they have taken these kids in have or promise that they will help them get to school and stay in school. So is there any part of this that's a boarding school, or like when they go to college, then they also need another kind of boarding, or how is that situation with
We are finding that in college, it's a different set of challenges, just like it is when you have a kid in college here. It's like, oh, they're out of the house now, they're off on their own. And so we have been, Dede and Newton are the first 2, and Elijah's been kind of managing that program from here and finding, okay, he's been problem solving, housing situations, transportation, food. We've created living stipends for them. So it's a kind of a different set of challenges. But generally speaking, up through high school graduation, kids are with their host families.
I have a question about the schools for junior high or grade school. Are those government schools, or are those schools, like I know in Nigeria, a lot of them are like supported by the church? So I'm curious on that. Oh, also, I'm not sure who you are. You said your name, but could you tell us a little about yourself? Do you live here? You live in Ghana or in Liberia? Or?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm a Liberian native, but I live in Minnesota with my family. Yeah. So the schools in Liberia, they are both private schools and public schools. So some of our students are in private schools and some of our students are in public schools. And the tuition varies between those two institutions. Like the private schools are more expensive than that of the public schools. Yeah. So like some of the kids, we could have said maybe all of you guys just go to a public school, but again, we don't want to be like directing where they want to go, so we just want to provide. They already have a whole lot they're dealing with in their lives, so we don't want to be like controlling that aspect of their life, so they can make choices of where they want to go, and we just provide the moral and financial support for them and push them through.
Did you have a question? I was just going to add to that. That has been one of the challenges of the program, is that we have, so now there's 86 kids in the program at last count, and they're probably in about 30 different schools because they go to the school that's in their neighborhood. And so some of the schools, we may have 10 kids in a school. Other schools, we just have 2 kids in a school. And so for the local staff on the ground, that's a challenge to keep track of all the kids. And I've mentioned it here. Elijah and I went there last spring. We've been wrestling with this as a board, some of the challenges, and some of the challenges have been keeping track of all the kids. And when you lose key staff members like Elijah's father, who was one of these glue people who went on the back of motorcycles through all the ins and outs and parts of town and outside of town to find these kids. It is kind of a high energy model. And so that's one of the things that just constantly is, we've asked the question, wouldn't it be simpler just to have them all in one school? But then for kids that have had so much, often been through so much upheaval in their lives, to say, oh, just go to this school over here instead of that school. Well, we all know how well that would go with our kids, just pull them out of their community, detach them from their friends. That's got its own set of challenges. So it's a very, very common refrain in Liberia. It's not easy. It's not easy, but we're trying.
Are there opportunities for the kids in the program to get together to meet each other?
That's, when we come, that'll probably be one of the big opportunities. They will make a big effort to get all the kids together. The program, before the pandemic, things were running pretty well. The pandemic just kind of messed everything up, along with some deaths of some key folks. And so, yeah, it's the dream is to get back to where it was right now, which was there was an active after-school program, and there were kids coming for vocational training after school. When we said on the donation page there, sewing machines, keyboards, laptops, and those were some of the vocational training programs that they had. When we went 5 years ago, those were the items that they wanted for that. Sewing machines, keyboards for the music program, laptops for the computer training program, I was just talking to one of the kids a couple days ago, George, he's a senior in high school now, and he was just saying how much he misses the music program. He used to love to sing. That was the program that he was in. And that's the hope, is to get back to that. And then it does become a community, even though the kids are scattered through different schools. Then there is this sense of community and solidarity and these really tight friendships that have formed. So that's the hope.
So now I'm very interested in language because I have a second language. And what language do they speak in Liberia in general?
So a little bit of a history of Liberia. The country was established in 1847 by free slaves from America. But then there were natives in Liberia when they arrived. So we have 16 local dialects in Liberia. And where the program is, Bon County is central Liberia, where I'm from. We speak Pele. So that's the local dialect and most of the kids in the program, they speak Pele as well. But like English is the official language for Liberia as well. Yeah. Does that answer your question? So I'm gonna say, so in order to greet everybody, let's say Yatwai, and then all of you guys are many, so I can say Katwai, and then you can respond. So it's like a responsive thing. You called my name, you say Elijah Yatwai. So that's how it is like. So if I want to ask you for your name, I can say, what's your name? I say Ilawagbe, and then it's Narai Roof. So that's the Narai Roof. Naba Roof.
Elijah, I have a question for you.
Okay. Yeah.
When you go back to Liberia, do your friends there think that you speak with like an American accent?
Yeah, they do. And one thing I have tried to do is not to forget my dialect. So I always, like, when I'm around my colleagues or my friends from Liberia, and then we would try to speak the local dialect. Because I'm not too fluent in it when we are going deep. I'm not too fluent, but the basic, I can go as far. But I can understand anything you say in my local language, yeah. So if you want me to tell you, I say, "Me kwa mwebe kwali Liberia kwali anuatama kuli ne ageya pa Liberia anoya digana never digana kwa mante to poor." So you share men create again never minimum. So what I just said is that we are excited that you all are coming to Liberia. The kids are happy, and thank you for all of the support you give the kids. So, yeah.
Thanks for coming tonight, and I'm really excited. We just kind of met with Justice and Mercy, and Deb and Cammie said, sure, we'll help out and come alongside. And so what this means with Deb and Cammie up here means that, is there a role for anyone in the congregation to be part of this? Yes. You don't have to be going to Liberia to be a part of this. And so we'd love to get as many folks involved as possible. There's 86 kids in this program, and we're hoping that every one of them is going to have a pen pal by the time we go. Yeah, can you just put that up, John, one more time, the upcoming dates? We had it up there, but yeah, we didn't talk about it. So March 20th, we're going to have a Liberian dinner fundraiser send-off. That's 8 days before we go. Come for that. I think it's Elijah's wife is going to be cooking for that. Does she know she's going to be cooking for that? And then we'll be doing a send-off in worship, and the kids are going to be learning a Liberian worship song or two, which Rishanar is going to teach to Kat, and then Kat is going to, and Rishanar are going to teach it to everybody. You didn't know that yet, Rishanar. And then once we get back, we'll have time to recover, because we get back on April 7th, and then there's things like Easter that are going to happen. But after that, the dust settles, then we'll have a report back, and then we're going to come back with all these great stories and all this energy, and that's when we really want to raise money for the kids over there. And so that'll be all part of that. So anywhere that you feel that you can participate, jump in, invite others, spread the word. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all the support coming tonight. Thank you so much. Yes, Stephen is asking if there will be a future trip for those who don't go on this trip. It's crushing that Stephen has not yet been back to Liberia since he left at 10 years old. And so we're hoping that one of these days, Stephen's going to be introducing us to his homeland. But yes, our hope is that we go every 2 years. That's the plan. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.